Wait, actually, before you start.
That's one for the outtakes.
Oh, dude, that's one for the opening of the fucking episode.
Welcome back to Televerse Reviews. I'm your host, ALANNIS MAXIMUS, and this is my host, my co-host, TOMYE West. And I'm good with my words today, aren't I?
You're not fucking... Alan, are you having a stroke? Do you smell burning toast at the moment?
It's funny, I do.
It'd be funny if you go out there and it's just like rotting corpse of one of your family members.
Why does it smell like toast?
Mom? I thought you were cooking toast. I didn't realize you were the toast.
That'd be bad because then I'll be like, smells like toast. Wonder if it tastes like toast. And that's how you become a cannibal.
And then that brings a whole new meaning to eating your mum out. There's some things we're gonna have to chat about when we start getting monetized, because I have found out there are a bunch of things that we've said many times over that will prevent us from getting monetized in future episodes when we finally reach that point, including the word cunt, including the word. These are all things that we've said probably nearly once an episode.
What a bunch of cunts.
Yeah, fucking.
Those cunts.
We gotta stop. Let's get on with our review.
Yes.
So far, the filthiest episode so far, ever. So far, the most filthiest episode of all time.
Yes.
That's some
It's
dark.
derailed before it was on the rails.
We just
So-
called it a dark
Put it back on the rails. We're talking about that 90's show. The whole season as a piece. We're going to give it a score each at the end from 0 to 50. Or if we really hated it, we'll give it a Morbius, which is below 0. So yeah, we've watched the whole series now. I have some brief thoughts. Tomye has some thoughts. So we're going to talk about that. And we'll do that starting with Tomye.
Okay, so if you tuned into our debut episode of that 90's show review for Televerse Reviews last week, 4 days ago, we did episode number 1. And that's just the reason we did that, is we felt we wanted to at least touch on it on the night that it was released. And we felt the best way to do that would just be to cover the first episode and then continue to cover the rest of the series now. And at the end of the first episode, I was pleasantly surprised. I was shocked at how good it was. I was so happy to see the cast back. And I was excited for episode 2. From episode 2 onwards, this show became another just as unfunny, maybe not just as unfunny, but close to as unfunny as The Big Bang Theory.
That's a big call.
I thought you were about to say to me that you liked The Big Bang Theory, and I was about to come over there and punch you in the fucking head, ALANNIS. Yes, so it went downhill really badly. The cameos got less and less. And it's funny because I said after the first episode that maybe the most we'd start seeing from Donna and all that would be just phone calls with their daughter. And ALANNIS, what did we get? Phone calls with the daughter. So I don't like many of the cast members in this. I like the darkish skin chick. I mean, I know there's two darkish skin ones, but the one with the sort of afro and the nose. Yep. I like her. I kind of like the main Eric Foreman girl, but not. I think there's something weird about her acting. Like she can act, but also has trouble in parts keeping it like the tone right or the feel right, or like you can tell they had to cut at a certain point. So when they cut, it's jarring because it's like she's almost like in a completely different position that she was in and stuff like that. And it's because they had to cut. And now suddenly her mouth was moving and it cuts and cuts back. And she's like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
you can tell there was a lot of weird things with her acting. But what I will say is I cannot stand the Asian member.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. I want to make it clear before we go on. This has nothing to do with race. I have no problems with Asian people. I have a Malaysian female vocalist in my band. I have nothing wrong with Asians. I have a problem with this character. He is annoying. He is overused. He is unfunny. And he is arrogant. So there's nothing to like about him. Like with Fez, he was like creepy and shit with the girls or whatever, but there was that lovable thing to Fez that you couldn't help but love. And this Asian guy, he don't got it.
No.
And the other thing I will say is I get the feeling that Fez will be the main old cast member that will be back on a more permanent schedule because he owns the hair salon in the town, whereas no one else really has any connection to the town anymore. And he's been in it the most out of all of them, and seems to have committed the most. And I tell you why, because he ain't doing shit at the moment, needs the money, and Netflix offered him a decent amount of money, and he said yes. Whereas they would have probably done the same thing to Eric and Donna, and they would have gone, nah, because we were getting paid nearly $1 million an episode or whatever towards the end. And what are you, Netflix, you ain't paying us $1 million an episode. No fucking way that they paying that. They'd be lucky to get 30, 40 grand an episode, I reckon.
Yeah.
Even less.
Absolutely. I think you're right. I think you see Tommy Chong. Don't know his character. Can't remember his character name. He's gonna pop in.
Leo,
yes.
Dude, that's another great character, and they need to bring him back more.
Absolutely.
Like that bit where he was like saying that the squirrels keep telling him jokes, fucking with him, and then they like do the thing where they like go on the tree, and then he's like, knock, knock, like, who's there? Like, kind of, you know? So yeah, like, dude, and there were moments that I really liked between the new cast as well. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, it's not all bad, it's not all doom and gloom. I really like the sort of fatter, chubbier dude that's with that girl. He's probably one of the funniest of them, and I don't mind the younger Kelso dude, but
yeah,
like them together is great. Those two dudes. But I do like the sort of more heavy set guy because he's funny, he has a heart, he is likable, and seems like the sort of guy you would want to be a mate of back then, you know, or whatever. Like, you know, how he's asking Red if he could borrow one of his flannels, and then Red gives him his flannel like in the car, and he's like, I think I've got a secret admirer, and that secret admirer is you. And then Red's like, it's a shirt, don't make it weird. You know what I mean? So, like, there were good moments with him and whatever. And I love that one part, as I said, I love that one part where they're sitting around and getting stoned, and it cuts to the younger Kelso, and he's doing the thing with the Lucker band, and then it flicks off, and he goes, oh, interesting. I like that sort of shit, you know? But yeah, this series, look, I've seen everyone talking about it, saying, raving about it. Can't wait for a second season. And I think Alanis, this is what this is my last conclusion before I want to hear your thoughts. So they would have been better off doing a 1 hour reunion episode with the potential we saw from the first one and having more of Jackie, more of Kelso, more of everyone. Or doing a 4 to 6 run reunion episode for Netflix thing where they did that and had main cast. I think that going off into this new cast and relying so heavily on the older cast in the first episode and then sort of dropping it and relying just solely on the new cast, like I could not stand the parts with them like singing along to songs and things like that.
Yeah.
They were so cheesy, especially when the Asian character was doing it to that rap song. And I was like, dude, this is not what that 70s show's humor is about. This is not, they're not capturing the humor from that 70s show. And you know what else? The 90s was severely underrepresented. Represented.
Oh, yeah.
Like, think about that 70s show. Okay, my mum said that she doesn't like that 70s show because she was their age during that 70s, yeah? And she said it's nothing like what the 70s was, and that's what she doesn't like. But I said to her, they're trying to capture it through the lens of what people remember it or try to remember it to be or look at it as what it was. That's how they're trying to capture it with all the pop culture and stuff. Like, there's so much things out of order in that 70s show. Like, they say, like, Star Wars comes out on a certain day or date, and it's not at all, like, even that year or whatever, but it doesn't really matter, you know what I mean? It's just to try and make the story work for that era. And with this one, I feel like they named it that 90s show and set it in the 90s, and that's as far as we go. After me saying that, 90s heavily misrepresented, not represented enough. The characters, a lot of them being annoying, a lot of them being lackluster, and the lack of initial cast members throughout the rest of the series, I feel lets this down very further away from the score I gave it for the original episode. So we will talk more about that when we get to my portion. Alanis, what did you think about this?
I think most of you've nailed a lot of my points there. The reasons I enjoyed it was pretty much, at least consistently, read Peggy, what's her name? Red's wife, Kitty. And the next door neighbor, the kid's mom, I liked her, Fez's partner.
I like that line. I like that line. The doctor, I was pregnant with him for 10 months and the doctor said that's okay, but I don't think it is, or something like that. and then like there was another couple of lines she said, like, oh, I like that bit where she's on the phone to Japan and then she tastes the food and she's just like does like a little like out of nowhere sort of I thought that was like a little nice touch and shit. So yeah. She was a cool cast member to add. I feel like she was like Eric's sister but grown up.
Yeah,
sort of,
definitely.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that was kind of the composite there. But yeah, they what I found funny was one of the better moments of the new cast when they did the cutaway to Beverly Hills 90210, and they had the dude from 90210 cameoing in that. It was weird because they kind of captured the 90s better in that cutaway than in the rest of the show. They satirized the 90s in a show that was meant to be set in the 90s, satirizing the 90s, and I found that really weird. It's like, why couldn't you do that the whole way through? I don't get why they
barely did it at all. It's almost like that. As I said, I feel like, so I found out that the reason Netflix approved this series is because they put that 70s show up on Netflix and it was their top rated show for like 6 months, man. Like just nonstop, like people loving it. So they were like, there's obviously a demand for this show. We need to bring it back. What does that tell you right there, Alan? Cash in. They're cashing in on the name of that 70s show, changing it to that 90s show, but it is nothing like the original show, except for the first episode. So far. I would love for season 2, where it looks to me with the reviews it's getting elsewhere that we're going to get at least another season. And I am hoping that because of the success of this first season, even though me and you aren't the biggest fans of it, that the older cast members start taking it a little bit more seriously and sign on for a little bit more screen time. Because I think that none of them took time out of their schedules because they were like, we're not doing this for a show that could fucking fail or like has no promise behind it. And like, we've basically done it already. We're just reprising our roles. Like, dude, Topher Grace's exact quote to the media was, well, I didn't do that much. I only shot on location for one day. That's because I have a real job. When he says that, you know that means Netflix ain't paying him enough.
Yeah.
I think with the success they've seen, if they can see this success and offer those cast members more money because of this success, we might have something special for season 2. But if we come back and it's exactly the way it was this season after the first episode, I'm out.
Yeah. I think I'm right there with you. And it may not, who knows, with Netflix they like to act shit as well, so we might not even get that second season.
Oh man, I think that we're going to, because unlike a lot of Netflix shows that get axed pretty quickly, this is very inexpensive.
Yeah.
The only thing that would that make it not inexpensive is when they have to offer the older cast members more money to come back. And I think that it's worth doing that if the public demands that this show keeps going. I think it's worth offering those cast members whatever they want to come back, because this could end up being Netflix's biggest rated show, simply by doing the right thing by the property. You know what I mean? But they're not going to offer them $400,000 an episode, so I doubt that's going to happen. You know?
No, I think on that note, it's probably a good time to throw our scores out there. I'm going to say...
look, before we do that, I want to say I've talked mostly about this, but it's because I want to just quickly say again from last week, this is my favorite sitcom of all time.
Yes.
I watch this show once a year, like all the way through, maybe twice a year sometimes. I love it that much. So I have a lot more to say on it than ALANNIS does, because it holds such a dear spot for me, whereas ALANNIS is like, he liked the show enough, but wasn't a giant fan, you know what I mean? Like, whereas I'm like a super fan. I like know line for line. Like, I have favorite bits that I watch all the time. So before we finish, ALANNIS, is there anything else you want to say? Because I feel like I've just hogged this episode and I don't want to.
No, I'm pretty much said all I need to. Most of the things that I thought, I think you summed up pretty well. So I only really had a couple of additions there.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that it could have a possibility of having a bright future if they make the right moves. But from what I saw at the last, 5 episodes or whatever, it's much more, what would you call it? Drama and like teenage, like, what was that show called? Heartbreak High and shit.
Yeah.
That sort of teen drama.
Yeah, there's way too much focus on, like, most of the series was going on about her having her first kiss, and it's like I don't know, man. Like,
and I hated that forced shit too with the, so you like this giant hickey I've got? There's nothing there. What do you mean? It's huge. And I'm like, this joke isn't funny. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, and then the Asian guy's like, there's literally nothing there. And it's just like, oh, I hated him at the golf club as well.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, I can taste the canned lemonade. I want freshly squeezed lemonade on the dot. And make sure you bring the nachos for the lady. And you're just like, I fucking hate this guy so much.
Yeah.
Write him out. Write him out. Write him out.
Oh, yes.
I'm surprised they didn't after the pilot, because I saw it in the pilot. So, my score, ALANNIS. Actually, I'm going to let you go first with the score because I talk so much. I want you to give it a score, give a reason behind your score, and what you think your prediction is for the future of the show. And then I'll get into mine quickly and we'll end it. Because I'm still trying to work out my score right now as we speak. So
I'd say for something to be below 25, I'll have to actively dislike it, which I don't. But I don't think it was outstanding either. It just didn't grab me in the same way that 70 Show did. I don't think it was terrible, but I think it had some terrible things. So I'd probably put this in at about 30.
Now, I'm trying to work it out from the score that I gave it in the first episode we did for the very first episode, and trying to work out sort of like a countermeasure of my score to that, so that it can be like, well, this gets that score, but the rest of the series gets that score. So how can I kind of round it out to a number? But I'm starting to think that I'm going to give this 2 scores. Now, I suggest if you're that 70 Show fan and you were on the fence about this and you haven't watched it yet, watch the first episode, put it away. Don't watch anymore, because it's the perfect reunion episode. Like, it's legit perfect. It's, except for maybe a few more cameos that could have been in it and stuff, it's nearly perfect. So go watch that. It's like almost like a epilogue to that 70s show, and I like that. You know what I mean? But from then on, I wouldn't watch it if you're that 70s show fan. If you're a Degrassi or Heartbreak High fan mixed with Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men, and shit sitcoms like that, this is your ballpark. You know what I mean? So my score is, for the first episode, what did I give it? I gave it a 40. Yeah?
Yes.
No, wait. Yeah, I gave it a 40, right?
I'm pretty certain.
I gave the last of us 40. So our scores added up to 73 for the first episode, which means you gave it a 33 and I gave it a 30. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that equals up to 73. Now, my score for the first episode is going to stay the same. I'm giving it a 30 out of 50. Actually, you know what? I'm going to raise it. I'm going to put that up to a 40 out of 50. No, a 45. Let's go 45 because it's that good. You know what I mean? And then every episode after that, doesn't matter what episode it is, even if it's got a few funny bits in it, I'm giving a 9. A 10.
9. Whoa.
10 at the most. 10 at the most. Because I'm such a big fan of the show. This is not what I want. I would rather just they didn't do this at all. Or just do the reunion idea that I said. So what does that add up to? You said...
I said 30, so this got a grand total of 39.
Cool. That's a rougher.
At least I didn't get a Morbius.
That's as rough as raw dogging it, you know? Oh, man. Well, 39. Take that how you want, people. Take that how you want. Maybe you'll go and see it, and you'll watch it and you'll love it. Who knows? ALANNIS, would you like to wrap this up and tell everyone what we've got coming up over the next few?
We have next on the horizon. We're continuing our The Last of Us Televerse reviews. We've got episode 2 coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think.
Tomorrow night.
Still working on Goes to Hell, which is a big project. It's going to be fucking awesome. We're hoping to have it out early March to line up with Scream. But until then, we're going to have this going. We're going to have Pop Vultures. Maybe say, I want to get Nerdy by Nature back out. So we're going to still be throwing content at you.
And also that while Ranked and Reviewed is away, if Alan can get some Nerdy by Nature episodes done, the movies that we can't cover, he will cover in his Nerdy by Nature review. So he's planning on doing it for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He's planning on doing it for a bunch of other movies that are coming out in the period that we just don't think we're going to have Ranked and Review Goes to Hell ready for. Because once we started Ranked and Review Goes to Hell as a project, and we decided we started writing the script and things like that, it's grown and grown and grown and grown. And we really want to come out with something fire and something that nails exactly what we want. And I don't want to release anything until we get to that point. So March, let's hope for March, because We're nearly in February. We're not far away, man. We got to get our asses into gear.
Yes.
All right.
Cool.
Alana, let's close this motherfucker down.
Well, yeah, all the same rigmarole. Like, share, subscribe. Let us be known because we'd love you for it. And we will see you next time.
Hanging out down the street, the same old friends we used to meet.
Yeah.
Nothing to do but talk to you. We're not all right. We're not all right. This show sucks. Banned! Cancelled episode. Make sure all of you that watch this maybe even try to download it through MP4 converter if you want to watch it again, because it may not be there after 12 hours. All right. Let's say bye, Alan.
Farewell.